Security guards flanked me as I cleaned out my desk, while my boss, Richard Sterling, stood behind them smirking at my small potted succulent. "Take your little plant and your failed career somewhere else, Imogene," he sneered loud enough for the entire marketing department to hear. The humiliation burned through me as 20 colleagues watched my public destruction. What Richard didn't know was that his biggest rival, Harrison Technologies, had just finalized a partnership agreement I'd been secretly negotiating for months, a deal that would destroy everything he'd built. 3 months earlier, I was Richard's star marketing director at Sterling Industries, a mid-sized tech consulting firm in Austin. The sprawling office complex sat on the edge of downtown with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lady Bird Lake. I'd built their entire digital presence from scratch, transforming a struggling regional company into a recognized industry player. My innovative campaigns had increased revenue by 47% in 2 years, bringing in major clients like Meridian Bank and Phoenix Logistics. Every morning, I arrived at 6:30 to review overnight analytics and prepare strategy updates. My office walls displayed awards from the Austin Business Journal and Texas Marketing Association, recognition for campaigns that had revolutionized how small businesses approach technology consulting. The Meridian Bank project alone had generated $3.2 million in revenue after my team developed a digital transformation strategy that reduced their operational costs by 38%. I'd built strong relationships with junior staff mentoring bright-eyed college graduate Tyler Brooks, who brought fresh social media insights, and seasoned designer Carmen Rodriguez, whose creative vision elevated every project. Tyler reminded me of myself 5 years ago, eager to prove himself with innovative ideas and relentless work ethic. Carmen had 20 years of experience, but appreciated my collaborative leadership style after years of working under demanding creative directors. The Sterling Industries culture I'd helped create emphasized teamwork and professional growth. Weekly brainstorming sessions generated breakthrough concepts, while monthly team lunches celebrated victories and strengthened relationships. I'd implemented a mentorship program, pairing experienced staff with newcomers, creating knowledge transfer systems that improved overall performance. Richard Sterling had initially been supportive, praising my results in board meetings and approving increased marketing budgets. A tall man with silver hair and expensive suits, he projected authority while maintaining friendly relationships with clients. His corner office showcased photos with Austin politicians and business leaders, creating an impressive backdrop for important meetings. However, as my success grew, Richard's attitude shifted dramatically. He began taking credit for my ideas in executive presentations, describing innovative campaigns as company initiatives rather than acknowledging my specific contributions. During client meetings, he'd interrupt my presentations to add unnecessary commentary, undermining my expertise in front of important stakeholders. The transformation became obvious during the Phoenix Logistics presentation last spring. I developed a comprehensive supply chain optimization strategy that would save them hundreds of thousands annually. Richard arrived unexpectedly, taking over the presentation midway through my technical explanation. He stumbled through details he didn't understand, while Phoenix executives looked confused by the sudden change in direction. His micromanaging intensified as clients specifically requested me for projects. Email chains that previously included my input were suddenly redirected through his approval. Strategy sessions I'd traditionally led were rescheduled without my participation. When I raised concerns about being excluded from decision-making processes, Richard dismissed them as misunderstandings about corporate hierarchy. The Austin Tech Summit in February changed everything. The 3-day conference brought together technology leaders from across Texas, featuring panel discussions about digital transformation and innovation strategies. I'd been invited to speak about successful marketing partnerships representing Sterling Industries, alongside industry giants like Dell and IBM. During my presentation break, a distinguished woman approached with genuine interest in our work. Margaret Harrison, CEO of Harrison Technologies, had been following Sterling Industries' recent campaigns and was impressed by our innovative approach to small business consulting. Her company specialized in advanced software platforms but lacked implementation expertise for smaller clients. "Your Meridian Bank case study caught our attention," Margaret explained over coffee in the conference center lounge. We've been looking for partners who understand both technology and practical business applications. Would you be interested in exploring collaboration opportunities? The conversation revealed fascinating possibilities. Harrison Technologies had developed cutting-edge software solutions, but struggled to reach mid-market clients who needed customized implementation support. Sterling Industries possessed exactly those capabilities, along with established relationships in target demographics. A partnership could transform both organizations while creating tremendous growth opportunities. Margaret's vision extended beyond simple referral arrangements. She described integrated service offerings where Harrison's software platforms would be enhanced by Sterling's consulting expertise, creating comprehensive solutions that neither company could provide independently. The revenue potential was staggering. Initial projections suggested $12 million annually within 18 months. I promised to discuss the opportunity with Richard, expecting enthusiastic support for such a game-changing partnership. Instead, his reaction revealed troubling insecurities about external relationships and competitive threats. He questioned Harrison Technologies' motives while dismissing the financial projections as unrealistic marketing promises. These big companies make grand proposals, then disappear when implementation gets complicated, Richard warned during our Monday morning meeting. We've built our reputation on reliable service delivery, not chasing pipe dreams from conference networking events. His resistance seemed illogical given the obvious benefits, but I attributed it to conservative business philosophy and concern about overextending resources. However, subtle comments about maintaining control over client relationships and protecting proprietary methodologies suggested deeper anxieties about sharing authority or recognition. The situation deteriorated further when Meridian Bank's president sent a company-wide email praising my specific contributions to their digital transformation success. The message highlighted innovative strategies that had exceeded performance expectations while commending my team's professional expertise and collaborative approach. Richard's reaction was swift and decisive. He scheduled mandatory individual meetings with department heads, ostensibly to discuss quarterly performance reviews. During my session, he questioned every recent decision while suggesting that my growing client relationships might create conflicts of interest or inappropriate dependencies. Clients need to understand they're working with Sterling Industries, not individual consultants, he explained with barely concealed irritation. We can't allow personal relationships to overshadow company loyalty or create unrealistic expectations about future availability. The message was clear. My success was threatening his authority, and he intended to reassert control through systematic undermining of my professional relationships. The realization was both heartbreaking and infuriating, considering how much I'd contributed to building the company's reputation and financial stability. Determined to explore the Harrison opportunity, despite Richard's objections, I began conducting discreet research into their background and corporate culture. Their track record was impressive: consistent growth, ethical business practices, and innovative technology development that had earned industry recognition and satisfied client testimonials. More importantly, Margaret Harrison's leadership philosophy aligned perfectly with my professional values. Employee interviews revealed a collaborative environment where individual contributions were recognized while team success remained the primary goal. Their approach to partnerships emphasized mutual benefit and shared growth rather than competitive advantages or market dominance. Working late one evening to complete client reports, I decided to review recent company financial records to better understand our capacity for potential partnerships. Richard had been increasingly secretive about strategic planning discussions, excluding department heads from meetings that traditionally included senior staff input. Using my administrative access to review quarterly summaries and expense reports, I discovered troubling patterns that suggested Richard was pursuing activities he hadn't disclosed to the leadership team. Meeting expenses with unfamiliar company names, travel costs to cities where we had no known clients, and consulting fees for services that didn't align with our business objectives. Further investigation revealed the devastating truth. Richard had been secretly meeting with Blackstone Corporation, Sterling Industries' primary competitor, discussing a potential acquisition that would eliminate jobs while enriching his personal financial position. Email fragments, recovered from deleted message folders, outlined preliminary negotiations that would dismantle everything we'd built together. The betrayal cut deeper than professional disappointment. My late father, Jonathan Walsh, had been Richard's first major investor and trusted mentor during Sterling Industries' early years. Richard had frequently referenced their friendship while promising to honor the values and vision that had guided the company's foundation. Now I understood that those promises were empty manipulation designed to maintain loyalty, while Richard pursued personal gain at everyone else's expense. The partnership with Blackstone would eliminate the marketing department, entirely transferring our client relationships and proprietary strategies to their existing teams, while terminating employment for everyone who had contributed to our success. That night, staring at evidence of Richard's betrayal, I made a decision that would change everything. If he was willing to sacrifice our futures for personal profit, I would secure the Harrison partnership independently, ensuring our team's survival, while building evidence of his deception. The choice felt both terrifying and empowering, a leap into unknown territory driven by moral conviction rather than career advancement. Margaret Harrison had left her business card with a handwritten note encouraging further discussion. Her direct phone number and personal email suggested genuine interest in collaboration, not just polite conference networking. The opportunity was real, the potential was enormous, and the timeline was urgent, given Richard's accelerating betrayal. I carefully crafted an email explaining my interest in exploring partnership possibilities while requesting confidentiality about preliminary discussions. Within hours, Margaret responded enthusiastically, suggesting a video conference to discuss specific collaboration frameworks and implementation strategies. The path forward was clear but dangerous. Success would require careful planning, absolute discretion, and unwavering commitment to protecting the colleagues who trusted me with their professional futures. Failure would mean losing everything, while validating Richard's dismissive attitude toward my judgment and capabilities. But doing nothing meant accepting certain destruction, while Richard profited from dismantling my father's legacy and our team's hard work. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. It was a moral imperative disguised as a business decision. The next morning, I began carefully documenting Richard's activities while secretly developing the Harrison partnership proposal. My daily routine expanded to include early morning and late evening research sessions, gathering evidence through careful observation and discreet inquiry rather than direct confrontation that might alert him to my suspicions. Working at 5:30 a.m. allowed access to shared network drives before other staff arrived, providing opportunities to review financial records and email archives without triggering security alerts or unusual activity reports. The pattern of deception became clearer as I traced connections between unexplained expenses and Blackstone Corporation meetings. Several key colleagues had noticed irregularities that seemed insignificant individually, but created a comprehensive picture when assembled systematically. Janet Walsh, our loyal HR director with 15 years of company experience, had questioned unusual consulting fees and travel reimbursements that didn't align with known projects or client relationships. "I've been tracking expense patterns for budget planning purposes," Janet confided during a casual coffee conversation. "Some recent charges don't match our standard vendor relationships or travel protocols. I assumed they were related to confidential strategic planning, but the amounts seem excessive for routine business development." Marcus Chen, our head programmer and systems architect, had been excluded from recent technical discussions despite his crucial role in evaluating software partnerships and integration challenges. His expertise was essential for any major technology initiative, making his absence from planning sessions particularly suspicious. Richard scheduled several meetings about platform compatibility and database integration, Marcus explained during our weekly technical review. When I offered to provide analysis and recommendations, he said they were preliminary discussions that didn't require detailed technical input yet. But preliminary discussions usually benefit from early technical evaluation to avoid costly mistakes later. Paula Martinez, our receptionist and office manager, tracked all visitors through security protocols and appointment scheduling systems. Her discreet inquiry revealed frequent visits from Blackstone executives during periods when Richard claimed to be focused on internal operational improvements rather than external business development. "I maintain visitor logs for security and insurance purposes," Paula mentioned during a routine administrative discussion. "We've had several guests from Blackstone Corporation over the past 2 months, always scheduled as confidential meetings with specific instructions about discretion regarding their presence in the building." These individual observations, combined with financial irregularities and Richard's increasingly secretive behavior, painted a clear picture of systematic deception designed to facilitate the company sale without board approval or employee notification. The scale of betrayal extended beyond simple business decisions into calculated manipulation of trust and loyalty. My investigation process required extreme caution to avoid triggering Richard's suspicions while gathering sufficient evidence to prove his criminal intentions. Email searches focused on deleted message recovery and backup system analysis, revealing communication fragments that confirmed Blackstone negotiations were far more advanced than anyone realized. Simultaneously, I developed the Harrison Technologies partnership proposal through encrypted personal devices and secure communication channels that couldn't be monitored through company systems. Margaret Harrison provided detailed technical specifications and financial projections that demonstrated the collaboration's transformative potential for both organizations. The partnership structure was elegantly comprehensive. Harrison Technologies would provide advanced software platforms and technical infrastructure, while Sterling Industries contributed consulting expertise and client relationship management. Revenue-sharing arrangements would guarantee immediate income increases while creating long-term growth opportunities that exceeded our current market position. Working with Margaret's team revealed the stark contrast between ethical business practices and Richard's deceptive approach. Every discussion included transparent financial disclosure, clear communication about expectations and limitations, and collaborative problem-solving that respected both companies' expertise and concerns. During video conferences with Harrison's technical staff, I learned about their company culture that emphasized employee development, profit sharing, and decision-making processes that included input from all relevant stakeholders. Their approach to partnerships prioritized mutual benefit and sustainable growth rather than competitive advantages or market domination. The personal stakes became even more significant as I researched my father's original investment in Sterling Industries. Jonathan Walsh had provided crucial early funding while serving as an informal mentor to Richard during the company's difficult startup phase. Their correspondence, preserved in company archives, revealed my father's vision for ethical business practices and employee welfare. Success without integrity is ultimately meaningless, my father had written in a letter to Richard dated 10 years ago. We're building something that will benefit everyone involved, employees, clients, and investors, rather than pursuing short-term profits that sacrifice long-term sustainability and moral principles. Reading those words written in my father's careful handwriting made Richard's betrayal feel like a personal assault on everything my family had worked to create. The company my father had helped establish was being systematically destroyed by the person he'd trusted to preserve his values and vision. Tyler Brooks, Carmen Rodriguez, Marcus Chen, and Janet Walsh gradually joined my investigation as trusted allies who shared concerns about the company's future direction. Each contributed unique skills and perspectives that strengthened our collective understanding of Richard's deceptive strategies. Tyler's social media expertise revealed online discussions where Blackstone employees had inadvertently disclosed details about the Sterling Industries acquisition. His research uncovered forum posts and professional networking conversations that confirmed the timeline and scope of Richard's secret negotiations. Carmen's design background enabled analysis of forged documents and altered financial reports that Richard had created to misrepresent company performance and asset valuations. Her artistic eye detected inconsistencies in formatting and layout that revealed deliberate manipulation of official records. Marcus applied his technical knowledge to computer forensics, recovering deleted files and tracking system access patterns that documented Richard's efforts to conceal evidence of his activities. His programming skills enabled discrete monitoring of network traffic and email communications that provided real-time intelligence about ongoing negotiations. Janet's administrative expertise and HR experience allowed careful analysis of legal documents and employment contracts that would be affected by the Blackstone acquisition. Her understanding of regulatory requirements revealed numerous violations of disclosure obligations and fiduciary responsibilities that could result in criminal charges. Our informal investigation team met after hours in various locations to avoid detection while sharing information and coordinating research activities. The camaraderie that developed during these sessions strengthened professional relationships while building personal bonds based on shared commitment to protecting our colleagues and preserving company integrity. However, as we gathered more evidence, the scope of Richard's betrayal became increasingly shocking. The Blackstone acquisition wasn't simply a business sale, it was a comprehensive scheme designed to strip Sterling Industries of valuable assets while eliminating employment obligations and client relationships that might interfere with profit maximization. Working late one evening in Marcus's home office, I made a discovery that changed everything. While analyzing backup files from Richard's personal computer, I uncovered a detailed strategy document that revealed the true extent of his criminal intentions. Richard wasn't just selling Sterling Industries to Blackstone Corporation. He was planning to steal our entire client database, proprietary methodologies, and intellectual property to establish a competing consulting firm after the acquisition was completed. The sale was merely the first phase of a complex scheme designed to profit from destroying everything we'd built while using our own work against us in the marketplace. The strategy document outlined systematic client poaching employee termination procedures designed to eliminate potential witnesses and financial manipulations that would funnel company assets into personal accounts before the sale was finalized. Richard had been planning this betrayal for months, carefully positioning himself to profit from our destruction while avoiding legal consequences. The emotional impact was overwhelming. Reading detailed plans for dismantling our team and stealing our professional accomplishments felt like discovering a family member's plot to destroy everything you'd worked to create. The cynical calculation behind every friendly conversation and supportive gesture made his betrayal feel even more devastating. Margaret Harrison called Tuesday evening with an urgent update about the partnership timeline. Harrison Technologies Board had scheduled a final approval meeting for Friday morning, requiring complete documentation and signed agreements by Thursday afternoon. The accelerated schedule was driven by competitive pressures and strategic planning requirements that couldn't accommodate further delays. We're prepared to move forward immediately if Sterling Industries can commit to the partnership terms we've discussed, Margaret explained during our conference call. However, we need official authorization and executed contracts within 48 hours to meet our quarterly planning objectives and budget allocation deadlines. The deadline created intense pressure given Richard's secret plans to complete the Blackstone sale by Thursday morning. Our window for action was narrowing rapidly while the stakes continued escalating for everyone involved. Success would save careers and preserve my father's legacy, but failure would mean total destruction of everything we'd fought to protect. Wednesday morning brought additional complications when Richard announced mandatory individual meetings with each department head scheduled for that afternoon. His agenda was obvious. He planned to announce terminations and prepare for the Blackstone acquisition by eliminating potential opposition and securing signed confidentiality agreements that would prevent future legal challenges. Time was running out for our entire team, but we were closer than ever to securing the alternative that would save everyone while delivering justice for Richard's betrayal. The Harrison partnership represented hope and opportunity, but only if we could outmaneuver Richard's accelerating timeline and expose his criminal activities before irreversible damage occurred. That evening, as I reviewed the evidence we'd gathered and finalized partnership documents with Harrison Technologies, I realized we were facing the most crucial 24 hours in Sterling Industries history. Tomorrow would determine whether loyalty and integrity could triumph over greed and deception, or if Richard's betrayal would succeed in destroying everything my father had envisioned when he first invested in our shared future. Wednesday night became a race against time as I worked to finalize the Harrison Technologies partnership while avoiding Richard's surveillance systems. Using encrypted personal devices and secure communication channels, I collaborated with Margaret Harrison's team to complete the complex agreement that could transform both companies and save our jobs. The partnership structure we developed was remarkably sophisticated, addressing technical integration challenges while creating financial opportunities that exceeded our most optimistic projections. Harrison Technologies would provide advanced software platforms and cloud-based infrastructure, while Sterling Industries contributed consulting expertise and established client relationships that would accelerate market penetration. Revenue sharing calculations projected immediate income increases of 40% for Sterling Industries employees with additional profit participation bonuses tied to collaborative project success. The arrangement guaranteed job security while creating advancement opportunities that our current structure couldn't provide, effectively doubling our long-term earning potential. Working through technical specifications with Harrison's engineering team revealed the remarkable innovation potential of our combined capabilities. Their software development expertise paired with our implementation experience could create customized solutions for mid-market clients who were underserved by existing technology providers. Margaret Harrison's leadership style impressed me throughout our intensive negotiations. Every decision included input from relevant stakeholders. Financial transparency was maintained throughout discussions, and creative problem-solving approached challenges as opportunities for mutual benefit rather than competitive disadvantages. Successful partnerships require trust and shared vision, Margaret explained during one of our late-night planning sessions. We're not just combining resources, we're creating something entirely new that leverages each organization's strengths while addressing market needs that neither company could meet independently. The cultural alignment between Harrison Technologies and the Sterling Industries team I'd helped build was remarkable. Their emphasis on employee development, collaborative decision-making, and ethical business practices matched perfectly with the values I'd tried to instill in our marketing department operations. Tyler Brooks generated tremendous excitement through discreet social media research that revealed substantial market demand for the integrated services our partnership would provide. His analysis of client communication patterns and industry forum discussions showed consistent requests for exactly the type of comprehensive solutions we were planning to offer. Small businesses are frustrated with fragmented service providers that don't communicate effectively, Tyler reported during our Wednesday evening strategy session. They want single-source solutions that combine software capabilities with implementation support and ongoing consulting relationships. Carmen Rodriguez created preliminary design materials for the new partnership identity, developing visual concepts that represented innovation and reliability while maintaining professional credibility with existing clients. Her creative vision helped everyone visualize the transformation we were working to achieve. Marcus Chen solved critical technical integration challenges that had initially seemed insurmountable, developing protocols that would seamlessly connect Harrison's platforms with our existing client systems. His programming expertise enabled sophisticated solutions that impressed Harrison's technical team while demonstrating our advanced capabilities. Janet Walsh coordinated legal compliance requirements and employment transition procedures that would protect everyone's interests while meeting regulatory obligations. Her HR experience ensured that the partnership structure would preserve benefits and advancement opportunities for all Sterling Industries employees. However, time pressure intensified when Richard accelerated his schedule for announcing terminations and finalizing the Blackstone acquisition. His mandatory meetings with department heads were moved from Thursday afternoon to Wednesday evening, clearly indicating that he suspected interference and wanted to eliminate any possibility of organized resistance. Margaret Harrison understood the urgency of our situation and arranged for her legal team to prepare acquisition paperwork as an alternative to the partnership structure we'd been developing. If Sterling Industries was truly being sold without proper authorization, Harrison Technologies was prepared to submit a competing offer that would preserve employment and honor existing client commitments. We've seen situations like this before, Margaret explained during an emergency conference call. When leadership betrays employee trust for personal gain, sometimes the best solution is complete ownership transition that removes the problematic decision-makers while preserving everything valuable about the organization. The acquisition option provided additional leverage, but required absolute proof of Richard's criminal activities and board authorization for ownership transfer. Our evidence was substantial, but presenting it effectively would require careful coordination and impeccable timing to avoid legal challenges or procedural complications. Personal reflection during those intense hours revealed how much I'd grown throughout this crisis. Managing complex negotiations while coordinating criminal investigations and protecting colleagues required leadership skills I hadn't known I possessed. The responsibility felt overwhelming, but also empowering, as I discovered capabilities that extended far beyond traditional marketing expertise. My father's legacy became increasingly important as I contemplated the magnitude of decisions we were making. Jonathan Walsh had invested in Sterling Industries because he believed in Richard's promises about ethical business practices and employee welfare. Saving the company meant honoring those original values while building something even better than my father had envisioned. Thursday morning's confrontation would determine whether months of secret planning and partnership development could overcome Richard's systematic betrayal and criminal intentions. The stakes couldn't be higher. Careers, relationships, and moral principles hung in the balance as we prepared for the most important presentation of our professional lives. Wednesday afternoon brought devastating news when Paula Martinez reported that Richard had scheduled an early morning meeting with Blackstone executives for Thursday at 7 a.m., 3 hours earlier than previously planned. The accelerated timeline suggested he suspected interference and wanted to complete the acquisition before any opposition could organize effectively. He specifically requested that I arrive early to ensure the conference room is prepared and that security protocols are followed for what he called sensitive business discussions. Paula explained with obvious concern about the unusual arrangements. The meeting was originally scheduled for 10 a.m., but he moved it without explaining the change or providing advance notice to other attendees. The schedule change destroyed our carefully planned strategy for presenting the Harrison partnership to the board before Richard could finalize his betrayal. Board members wouldn't be available until their regular meeting time at 9 a.m., leaving a 2-hour window during which Richard could complete irreversible damage to everyone's future. Margaret Harrison's response was swift and decisive when I called to explain the crisis. "We'll accelerate our timeline to match his," she declared with determination that reflected her commitment to our partnership success. "My team can have acquisition paperwork prepared and legal representatives present by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning." The plan that emerged from our emergency coordination session was audacious but necessary. We would confront Richard during the Blackstone meeting with evidence of his crimes while simultaneously presenting the Harrison acquisition offer as a superior alternative that would preserve jobs and honor our professional relationships. Sometimes you have to fight corruption directly, rather than hoping institutional processes will provide justice, Margaret observed during our final planning call. "We have evidence we have a better alternative, and we have moral conviction on our side. Tomorrow morning will determine whether that's enough to overcome greed and betrayal." As Wednesday evening approached, I realized that our small team had evolved from concerned colleagues into determined allies united by shared values and mutual respect. Tyler, Carmen, Marcus, Janet, and I had discovered strengths we never knew we possessed while building relationships that would last far beyond this immediate crisis. The evidence we'd gathered was comprehensive and damning. The Harrison partnership offered genuine hope for our future, and our preparation was as thorough as time permitted. Tomorrow would test whether courage and integrity could triumph over calculated deception, or if Richard's betrayal would succeed in destroying everything we'd worked to protect and build. Standing in my apartment that night reviewing documents and rehearsing presentations, I understood that I was no longer just fighting to save my job or protect my colleagues. This had become a battle for the principles my father had instilled in me about loyalty, honesty, and responsibility to others who depend on your leadership and integrity. The small potted succulent on my kitchen windowsill, the same plant Richard would mock during my humiliation, seemed to represent resilience and quiet determination. Tomorrow would prove whether those qualities were sufficient to overcome systematic betrayal and create something better than what we were fighting to preserve. Thursday morning would bring either vindication or devastating failure, but regardless of the outcome, I knew we'd given everything we had to fight for what was right. That knowledge provided strength and peace as I prepared for the most important day of my professional life. Wednesday night transformed Carmen Rodriguez's apartment into an intense strategic war room where our team of 5 worked through the darkness to finalize evidence packages and coordinate our confrontation plan. Her dining room table disappeared under stacks of financial documents, legal analyses, and partnership agreements, while laptops hummed with continuous activity. Tyler Brooks had matured dramatically under pressure, evolving from enthusiastic intern to strategic coordinator who managed communication between our team and Margaret Harrison's legal representatives. His youthful energy channeled into focused determination as he tracked social media discussions and industry news that might impact our morning confrontation. Carmen channeled her creative expertise into organizing visual presentations that would clearly communicate complex financial information and partnership benefits to board members and legal authorities. Her artistic eye for detail ensured that our evidence would be immediately comprehensible, even under the stress of heated confrontation. Marcus Chen applied his programming skills to create backup systems for all our evidence, establishing secure cloud storage and encrypted distribution networks that would preserve documentation, even if Richard attempted to destroy or suppress physical materials. His technical preparation included remote access capabilities that would allow real-time support during the meeting. Janet Walsh coordinated with her attorney friend Barbara Stone, who confirmed that our evidence could support criminal charges for embezzlement fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. Barbara's legal expertise helped us understand procedural requirements for presenting criminal evidence while protecting our own legal interests. "The documentation you've gathered is substantial enough for law enforcement investigation," Barbara explained during her midnight review of our materials. "Financial irregularities, secret negotiations that violate board oversight requirements, and plans to steal intellectual property constitute serious felonies that could result in significant prison sentences." Margaret Harrison's team worked parallel sessions to finalize acquisition paperwork that would provide the board with immediate alternatives to Richard's betrayal. Their lawyers had prepared comprehensive proposals addressing employment protection, client relationship preservation, and financial terms that exceeded the Blackstone offer while maintaining ethical business standards. The legal strategy required simultaneous presentation of criminal evidence and acquisition alternatives, creating complex coordination challenges that demanded precise timing and flawless execution. Any procedural mistakes could provide Richard with opportunities to escape consequences or complete his betrayal despite our efforts. Personal relationship is deepened through our overnight collaboration, as shared stress revealed authentic character traits that strengthened mutual respect and trust. Tyler shared his family's financial struggles that made this job crucial for supporting his younger siblings' college education. Carmen revealed her dreams of eventually starting an independent design consultancy that would serve socially conscious businesses. Marcus opened up about his loyalty to the collaborative company culture we'd built together, contrasting it with previous employment experiences where technical expertise was undervalued and employee input was dismissed by arrogant management. Janet reflected on her commitment to protecting workers' rights after witnessing corporate abuse throughout her HR career. These personal revelations created emotional bonds that transcended professional relationships, transforming our investigation team into a family united by shared values and determination to protect each other's futures. The responsibility I felt for their welfare added weight to every decision while providing motivation that exceeded personal career concerns. Technical challenges multiplied as Marcus discovered that Richard had installed sophisticated monitoring software on company computers to track employee activities and communication patterns. Our use of personal devices and encrypted channels had prevented detection, but company-based presentation systems might alert him to our preparations. He's been tracking email patterns, file access logs, and even keystroke analysis to identify potential security threats, Marcus reported with obvious concern about the surveillance implications. "We'll need to use completely independent technical systems tomorrow morning to avoid triggering alerts that might give him advance warning." The master strategy that emerged from our all-night planning session required 3 coordinated actions occurring simultaneously. First, we would present comprehensive evidence of Richard's crimes to law enforcement authorities who would be standing by to make arrests. Second, we would deliver the Harrison acquisition proposal to board members with clear financial analysis, showing superior terms to the Blackstone deal. Third, we would secure immediate client confirmations, supporting the transition to preserve business relationships during ownership change. Barbara Stone arranged for federal investigators to be present Thursday morning armed with warrants based on our evidence that would allow immediate detention and asset seizure if criminal activity was confirmed. The coordination required careful timing to ensure that arrests occurred after we'd presented alternatives, but before Richard could complete irreversible damage. Dawn approached as we finalized presentation materials and rehearsed our roles for the confrontation that would determine everyone's future. The weight of responsibility felt crushing as I contemplated the magnitude of what we were attempting, but the alternative, allowing Richard's betrayal to succeed, was unacceptable given the lives and careers at stake. Tyler's social media monitoring revealed that industry observers were beginning to notice unusual activity around Sterling Industries, with speculation about potential acquisitions or strategic changes. The attention created additional pressure to resolve the situation quickly before rumors damaged client relationships or created competitive disadvantages. At 5 a.m. Thursday morning, Paula Martinez called with news that shattered our entire strategy. Richard had moved the Blackstone signing from 7 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., eliminating even the narrow window we'd planned to use for our intervention. His suspicions had apparently intensified overnight, driving him to accelerate the timeline beyond our ability to adapt. He arrived at the office an hour ago and specifically requested that I ensure complete privacy for what he called the most important business meeting in company history. Paula reported with obvious distress about the implications. Blackstone executives are already in the building, and he's asked security to restrict access to the executive floor until further notice. The crisis required immediate decision-making as our carefully planned approach collapsed under Richard's paranoid acceleration. Board members wouldn't arrive until 8:30 a.m. for their regular meeting, leaving almost 2 hours during which Richard could complete his betrayal and eliminate any possibility of intervention. Margaret Harrison's response demonstrated the leadership qualities that had made her company successful when she immediately mobilized her entire team for emergency action. "We're moving to full crisis management mode," she declared during our emergency conference call. "My legal team will be at Sterling Industries by 6 a.m. with acquisition paperwork and law enforcement support." The realization that we would have to confront Richard directly without board support or procedural protection was terrifying, but unavoidable. Our choice was to accept certain defeat by waiting for normal business hours or risk everything on direct confrontation that might expose us to legal retaliation and professional destruction. Janet called in sick to avoid suspicion while secretly coordinating with Barbara Stone to ensure law enforcement would be present for the confrontation. Marcus prepared mobile technical systems that could function independently of company networks. Tyler and Carmen organized evidence packages for immediate distribution to media and regulatory authorities if our direct approach failed. At 5:30 a.m. Thursday morning, as Austin's skyline began glowing with early sunlight, our team of 5 drove toward Sterling Industries, knowing that the next 3 hours would determine whether loyalty and integrity could overcome calculated betrayal or if Richard's crimes would succeed in destroying everything we'd worked to build and protect. The small succulent plant I'd grabbed from my kitchen windowsill sat in my car's cup holder, a symbol of resilience and quiet determination that had survived Richard's mockery but would soon face the ultimate test of whether truth and courage were stronger than greed and deception. We arrived at Sterling Industries at 6:15 a.m. to find Blackstone Corporation executives already assembled in the main conference room with Richard, their expensive suits and serious expressions creating an atmosphere of impending financial transaction. Through the floor-to-ceiling glass walls, we could observe contracts spread across the mahogany table, while unopened champagne bottles waited nearby to celebrate our company's destruction. The building felt different in the early morning darkness, with minimal security lighting, creating shadows that seemed to symbolize the secretive nature of Richard's betrayal. Normal business energy was replaced by an ominous quiet that emphasized how isolated we were from the safety of standard operating procedures and regular oversight. Using Janet Walsh's administrative security access, we positioned ourselves in the adjacent conference room, where Marcus Chen quickly connected his laptop to the building's presentation system while maintaining visual surveillance of Richard's meeting through the shared glass partition. The technical setup would allow us to broadcast evidence company-wide if necessary, while documenting everything for legal purposes. Tyler Brooks paced nervously while checking his smartphone for social media responses to pre-dawn posts he'd carefully crafted to generate public attention without revealing specific details about our situation. His strategic communication would ensure that our confrontation couldn't be suppressed or misrepresented if Richard attempted damage control through traditional corporate channels. Carmen Rodriguez channeled her anxiety into detailed sketching, creating visual documentation of the scene while psychologically preparing for the presentation that could save everyone's career or destroy her own professional reputation. Her artistic instincts captured emotional undercurrents that might be missed in purely factual accounts of the morning's events. Janet Walsh reviewed legal documents with laser-focused concentration, double-checking procedural requirements and evidentiary standards that would determine whether our accusations could withstand Richard's inevitable counterattacks and legal challenges. Her HR experience provided crucial insights into employment law and corporate governance that might protect us from retaliation. The waiting period tested everyone's resolve as we watched Richard and Blackstone representatives review final documentation with the casual confidence of people who believed their success was inevitable. Their body language suggested complete comfort with the process, unaware that months of secret investigation had exposed their criminal conspiracy. At 6:45 a.m., Richard began signing preliminary documents earlier than we'd anticipated, based on Paula Martinez's intelligence about the meeting schedule. Our planned intervention timeline was accelerating beyond our preparation, forcing immediate action rather than the careful coordination we'd rehearsed throughout the night. The decision to enter the meeting room felt like stepping off a cliff into unknown territory where success would vindicate everything we'd worked for, while failure would destroy our professional futures and validate Richard's dismissive assessment of our judgment and capabilities. There was no middle ground, only total victory or complete defeat. I walked directly into the Blackstone meeting with my team, following carrying evidence folders and backup laptops, while summoning every ounce of courage and professional authority I'd developed throughout my career. The shock on Richard's face was immediately satisfying after months of humiliation and systematic undermining of my contributions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid this meeting needs to be postponed pending investigation of serious criminal activity, I announced with more confidence than I actually felt, placing our evidence packages on the conference table, while Richard's expression shifted from surprise to rage. The conference room erupted into chaos as accusations flew and loyalties were tested. Blackstone executives demanded explanations, while Richard attempted to dismiss our presence as disgruntled employee interference that had no bearing on legitimate business discussions. The professional atmosphere dissolved into heated confrontation as competing interests collided. Board members who had arrived early for their regular meeting were drawn into the crisis as Harold Peterson, my father's old friend and current board chairman, entered to investigate the disturbance. His presence provided crucial authority that prevented Richard from simply ejecting us as trespassing former employees. "What exactly is happening here?" Harold demanded with the commanding voice that had guided Sterling Industries through previous challenges. "I received calls about unusual early morning activity and came to investigate. Someone needs to explain why we have unauthorized meetings and what appears to be some kind of internal dispute." The moment had arrived for our presentation that would either save everyone or destroy everything we'd worked to protect. Standing before Richard Blackstone executives and arriving board members, I began delivering the evidence of systematic betrayal while simultaneously presenting Harrison Technologies' alternative proposal. Over the past 3 months, I've documented extensive evidence that Richard Sterling has been secretly negotiating the sale of our company to Blackstone Corporation, while planning to steal our client database and intellectual property for use in a competing business venture. I declared while distributing documentation that supported every accusation. Richard's attempts to dismiss our evidence as fabricated attacks were undermined by the comprehensive nature of our documentation. Financial records, email recoveries, meeting logs, and witness testimony created an overwhelming case that couldn't be explained away through simple denial or character assassination. Blackstone executives realized they were potentially involved in a fraudulent transaction that could expose them to legal liability and reputation damage. Their questions about Richard's authority to negotiate sales agreements and his disclosure of material information revealed growing concern about their own legal exposure. The fifth major twist occurred when Margaret Harrison arrived unexpectedly with her complete legal team and acquisition paperwork already prepared for immediate execution. Her presence transformed the chaos into structured negotiation as she presented a superior alternative that would preserve jobs while providing better financial terms for all stakeholders. Harrison Technologies has been working with Imogen Walsh to develop a partnership that would benefit everyone involved, Margaret announced with the calm authority that had built her successful company. However, given what we've learned about unauthorized sale negotiations and potential criminal activity, we're prepared to submit an immediate acquisition offer that would protect employees and clients while ensuring proper corporate governance. The power dynamics in the room shifted dramatically as three different groups found themselves in competition for control of Sterling Industries' future. Richard faced criminal exposure while losing his authority to complete the Blackstone deal. Blackstone executives confronted potential fraud charges and reputation damage. Margaret Harrison offered legitimate alternatives backed by ethical business practices and legal authority. Barbara Stone arrived with law enforcement officers armed with warrants based on our evidence, adding criminal investigation to the corporate negotiation chaos. Richard's schemes weren't just unethical business practices. They constituted federal crimes that required immediate intervention and potential arrest. Mr. Sterling, you're being detained pending investigation of embezzlement, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty, the lead investigator announced while reading Miranda rights. The financial irregularities and secret negotiations documented in these materials constitute serious felonies that warrant thorough criminal investigation. Blackstone executives demanded immediate legal consultation while distancing themselves from any knowledge of Richard's unauthorized activities or criminal intentions. Their hasty retreat from the conference room demonstrated their recognition that association with his schemes could destroy their own business reputation and legal standing. As police officers led Richard away in handcuffs and Blackstone representatives stormed out threatening lawsuits, the board called an emergency session to review Margaret Harrison's acquisition proposal that could save everything Richard had tried to destroy through his betrayal and criminal activity. The confrontation had succeeded beyond our most optimistic expectations, but the real work of rebuilding and transformation was just beginning as we prepared to present our vision for Sterling Industries' future to the people who would determine whether justice and integrity could triumph over greed and deception. The emergency board session convened at 8:30 a.m. in the same conference room where Richard had planned to destroy our company. But now the atmosphere buzzed with possibility rather than dread. Margaret Harrison's legal team had transformed Richard's betrayal into an opportunity for genuine transformation and growth that honored our original values while building something better. Board Chairman Harold Peterson struggled visibly with the revelation that Richard Sterling, whom he'd trusted for over a decade, had systematically planned to betray everyone who had contributed to the company's success. My father's old friend looked aged by the morning's revelations as he grappled with the implications of such comprehensive deception. Jonathan Walsh believed in this company's mission to provide ethical consulting services while treating employees as partners rather than expendable resources. Harold reflected with obvious pain about his friend's violated trust. Richard's actions represent the complete opposite of everything we promised to build together. Financial Director Lisa Chang focused on the numerical analysis that demonstrated Harrison Technologies' superior offer compared to Blackstone Corporation's acquisition terms. Her methodical review revealed that the Harrison deal would provide better compensation for employees while creating sustainable growth opportunities that the Blackstone arrangement would have eliminated entirely. Technology board member Robert Kim questioned the technical feasibility of integrating our consulting services with Harrison's software platforms, until Marcus Chen presented detailed implementation protocols that addressed every concern while demonstrating advanced capabilities that impressed Harrison's own engineering team. My formal presentation combined emotional appeal with hard business facts as I explained how the Harrison partnership would preserve jobs while accelerating growth through innovative service offerings that neither company could provide independently. Revenue projections, profit-sharing plans, and employee development opportunities created compelling reasons to approve the transition. Tyler Brooks demonstrated his evolution from eager intern to strategic professional by presenting social media engagement data that proved substantial market enthusiasm for the integrated services our partnership would offer. His analysis revealed consistent client demand for exactly the comprehensive solutions we were planning to deliver. Carmen Rodriguez displayed design mock-ups for our new company identity that represented innovation and reliability while maintaining professional credibility with existing clients. Her visual presentation helped board members imagine the transformation we were proposing while addressing concerns about brand continuity and market positioning. Marcus Chen's technical demonstration proved that integration challenges could be solved through creative programming solutions that would actually improve service delivery capabilities beyond what either company could achieve separately. His expertise addressed every technological concern while revealing opportunities for competitive advantages. Janet Walsh outlined HR transition procedures that would protect employee benefits and advancement opportunities while ensuring compliance with all regulatory requirements. Her comprehensive planning addressed legal concerns while demonstrating our team's preparation and professional competence. The board deliberated for over 2 hours while we waited in anxious anticipation of their decision. Questions arose about my authority to negotiate independently, my leadership experience relative to the responsibility involved, and our team's ability to manage such a significant transition successfully. Personal vindication came when Harold Peterson revealed that my father's original investment terms included specific provisions protecting employee welfare and requiring board approval for any ownership changes. Jonathan Walsh had anticipated potential conflicts and built safeguards into Sterling Industries' corporate structure that Richard had deliberately violated. Your father was remarkably prescient about the importance of protecting workers from management betrayal, Harold explained with renewed respect for my family's contribution to the company's foundation. The provisions he negotiated 20 years ago are exactly what we need now to authorize this transition while honoring his vision for ethical business practices. Client relationship concerns were addressed when Margaret Harrison presented testimonials from current Harrison Technologies clients who praised their collaborative approach and commitment to long-term partnerships rather than short-term profit maximization. Their track record demonstrated successful integrations with smaller consulting firms that had resulted in mutual growth and satisfaction. The sixth major twist occurred during board deliberations when Tyler's social media monitoring revealed that news of Richard's arrest had leaked online through law enforcement sources. Major clients were calling to cancel contracts while demanding immediate explanations about business continuity and management stability. Meridian Bank just posted on LinkedIn asking for recommendations for new consulting services. Tyler reported with obvious concern about the potential client exodus. Phoenix Logistics called our main number, requesting emergency meetings about their ongoing projects. The story is spreading faster than we anticipated. Crisis management became essential as we coordinated with Margaret Harrison to issue joint statements reassuring clients about business continuity, while positioning the Harrison acquisition as a positive development that would enhance service capabilities rather than disrupt existing relationships. Carmen created emergency communication materials, while Marcus handled technical inquiries from worried clients who needed immediate assurance about project completion and data security. Janet coordinated with legal teams to address liability concerns, while Tyler managed social media messaging to control narrative damage. My leadership skills were tested as I took charge of damage control operations while the board continued deliberating our future. The crisis provided immediate evidence of our team's capabilities under extreme pressure while demonstrating the collaborative approach that would characterize our management style. At 11:15 a.m., after 3 hours of intense discussion and analysis, the board voted unanimously to accept Harrison Technologies' acquisition offer while terminating all agreements with Blackstone Corporation. The relief was overwhelming as months of secret planning and morning confrontation finally achieved the success we'd fought to create. Harold Peterson's announcement carried emotional weight as he connected our victory to my father's original vision for Sterling Industries as a company that would succeed through integrity rather than exploitation. Jonathan Walsh would be proud to see his daughter fighting to preserve the values he believed were essential for sustainable success. Margaret Harrison's gracious response to the board's approval demonstrated the collaborative leadership style that had attracted our partnership interest originally. Her immediate focus on employee welfare and client communication showed genuine commitment to the principles we'd hoped to find in a business partner. Legal formalities proceeded efficiently, as Harrison's prepared documentation allowed immediate execution of acquisition agreements that protected everyone's interests while meeting regulatory requirements. The morning's chaos transformed into structured celebration as champagne was finally opened for a transaction that honored our values rather than destroying them. As paperwork was signed and toasts were offered, I realized we hadn't just saved our jobs or prevented Richard's betrayal from succeeding. We had created something better than anyone had imagined possible, a partnership that would allow us to grow professionally while maintaining the collaborative culture and ethical standards that made our work meaningful. The small, succulent plant that Richard had mocked during my humiliation sat proudly on the conference table, having survived not just his derision, but also the crisis that could have destroyed everything we'd worked to build. Its quiet resilience seemed to symbolize the determination that had carried us through months of secret investigation and morning confrontation to achieve victory that exceeded our most optimistic hopes. 3 months later, the Harrison-Sterling partnership had exceeded every projection we'd dared to imagine during those desperate planning sessions in Carmen's apartment. Revenue was up 63% compared to the same period the previous year. We'd hired 15 new employees to handle increased demand, and client satisfaction scores reached record levels that reflected the enhanced service capabilities our collaboration provided. My transformation from marketing director to vice president of strategic partnerships came with equity stakes that honored my father's legacy while building wealth that would have been impossible under Richard's oppressive management style. The responsibility felt both humbling and empowering as I guided expansion strategies that affected dozens of careers and millions in revenue. Tyler Brooks had blossomed into social media manager with his own team of 3 content creators who implemented innovative campaigns that consistently generated qualified leads and strengthened client relationships. His evolution from nervous intern to confident professional leader demonstrated how supportive environments enable people to discover capabilities they never knew they possessed. Carmen Rodriguez's promotion to creative director provided resources and creative freedom that had been stifled under Richard's micromanagement approach. Her design team now handled branding projects for major corporations while maintaining the authentic voice that had originally distinguished our marketing materials from generic corporate communications. Marcus Chen's advancement to Chief Technology Integration Officer reflected the crucial role his expertise played in making our partnership successful. His programming innovations had solved technical challenges that impressed Harrison's engineering teams while creating competitive advantages that attracted new clients specifically seeking our integrated capabilities. Janet Walsh received recognition as Employee Advocate, a newly created position that formalized her commitment to protecting workplace culture during rapid expansion. Her expertise in organizational development ensured that growth didn't compromise the collaborative values that had motivated our fight against Richard's betrayal. The collaborative culture we'd preserved through our desperate morning confrontation had flourished under Margaret Harrison's leadership philosophy that emphasized employee development and shared success. Monthly all-hands meetings provided transparent communication about company performance, while quarterly profit-sharing distributions demonstrated genuine commitment to including everyone in our prosperity. Weekly team lunches continued the tradition I'd established years earlier, but now they included Harrison Technologies colleagues who brought fresh perspectives while appreciating the inclusive environment that distinguished our workplace from typical corporate hierarchies. These relationships created innovation opportunities that neither company could have achieved independently. Professional development programs funded by our increased profitability allowed employees to pursue advanced certifications and continuing education that enhanced individual capabilities while strengthening overall service quality. Tyler was completing his MBA through evening classes, while Carmen pursued graphic design certification that would expand her creative expertise. Industry recognition followed quickly as business publications featured our successful partnership as an example of ethical collaboration that created mutual benefit rather than competitive advantage. Speaking engagements at conferences throughout Texas provided opportunities to share our experience while establishing thought leadership in partnership development and corporate transformation. The Austin Business Journal named me Rising Executive of the Year, recognizing leadership that had transformed a crisis into growth opportunity while preserving jobs and corporate values. The award ceremony provided a platform to discuss the importance of moral courage in business decision-making while honoring the team members who had risked everything to fight for what was right. Richard Sterling's legal consequences were comprehensive and appropriate for his criminal behavior. Federal charges for embezzlement and corporate fraud resulted in a 3-year prison sentence, while civil lawsuits from defrauded investors eliminated his personal assets. His professional reputation was permanently destroyed as industry colleagues distanced themselves from his unethical practices. The contrast between Richard's downfall and our team's success demonstrated that integrity creates sustainable advantages, while deception ultimately leads to self-destruction. His attempts to profit from betraying trust had resulted in losing everything he'd worked to build, while our commitment to protecting others had generated opportunities beyond our wildest expectations. Margaret Harrison's mentorship continued to shape my leadership development as she shared insights about building organizations that succeed through employee empowerment rather than authoritarian control. Her guidance helped me understand that true leadership involves creating environments where others can discover their potential while pursuing shared goals. Using my equity gains from the Harrison acquisition, I established the Jonathan Walsh Memorial Scholarship for business students studying ethical leadership at the University of Texas. The $5,000 annual award honored my father's values while encouraging future leaders to prioritize integrity over short-term profit maximization. The scholarship application required essays about moral courage in business situations, ensuring recipients understood that success without principle is ultimately meaningless. Selection criteria emphasized community service and collaborative achievements, rather than just academic performance, reflecting my father's belief that character matters more than credentials. Our success story attracted attention from other companies facing similar challenges with unethical leadership or partnership opportunities. Consulting requests allowed us to share our experience while generating additional revenue streams that demonstrated the value of principled business practices in competitive markets. Client relationships deepened as they recognized our genuine commitment to their success, rather than just billing hours or completing projects. Long-term partnerships developed as businesses understood that our collaborative approach created sustainable value that exceeded traditional consulting arrangements. The Harrison-Sterling culture became a model for other organizations seeking to combine growth with employee welfare and ethical operations. Human resources professionals visited our offices to observe management practices, while business school students interviewed team members about our experience during the crisis and transformation. Looking toward the future, expansion opportunities seemed unlimited, as our reputation for innovation and integrity attracted clients who valued partnership over vendor relationships. Plans for opening offices in Dallas and Houston reflected our confidence in sustainable growth that would benefit everyone involved rather than just senior management. Personal reflection on the journey from Richard's humiliation to our current success revealed how much I'd grown through confronting systematic betrayal and fighting for justice. The experience had taught me that moral courage combined with careful preparation and collaborative teamwork could overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. Sitting in my corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lady Bird Lake, I often contemplated how different our lives would have been if we'd accepted Richard's betrayal passively rather than investigating his crimes and developing alternatives. Courage had made all the difference between victimization and victory. The small, succulent plant that had survived Richard's mockery now thrived in a ceramic planter on my desk, its steady growth symbolizing resilience and quiet determination. Colleagues often commented on its significance, understanding that sometimes the things others dismiss as worthless become foundations for extraordinary achievements. Our story demonstrated that standing up for what's right, even when it's terrifying and uncertain, creates opportunities that passive acceptance never could. Courage combined with preparation and teamwork had transformed potential disaster into triumph that exceeded our most optimistic dreams. The life lesson that emerged from our experience was clear. Success isn't just about personal advancement or financial gain. True success involves lifting others up while building something meaningful that reflects your deepest values and creates positive impact, extending far beyond your own immediate interests. When we have the courage to fight for what's right, we discover strength we never knew we possessed, while creating positive change that inspires others to act on their own moral convictions. Leadership isn't about position or authority, it's about taking responsibility for protecting others while working towards shared goals that honor everyone's dignity and potential. The transformation from humiliation to triumph proved that loyalty, integrity, and collaborative determination are more powerful than greed, deception, and authoritarian control. When good people unite around shared principles and take courageous action, they can overcome seemingly impossible odds while creating something better than what they were fighting to preserve. Have you ever faced a situation where you had to choose between personal safety and standing up for what's right? I'd love to hear about your experiences with moral courage in the workplace or how you've dealt with unethical leadership. Your stories might inspire others who are facing similar challenges right now. Thank you for listening to my story of transformation from betrayal to triumph. I hope it encourages you to trust your instincts when something doesn't feel right, and to remember that you're stronger than you realize when you're fighting for justice and protecting others. Please like this video. If it resonated with you, subscribe for more stories about overcoming workplace challenges, and share it with anyone who might benefit from knowing that courage and integrity can triumph over corruption and betrayal. Remember, the things others dismiss as worthless, like loyalty, honesty, and caring about your colleagues, often become the foundation for extraordinary success that creates lasting positive impact for everyone involved.